Hello, YouTube, and welcome to the Real Siberius live stream. I actually wanted to do this live stream because my subscription ends tomorrow and I don't know when I'm going to be able to renew it. So I wanted to take advantage as this may be my last live for a while. Hopefully, I can find. Hopefully, I can find a way to renew that again, but time will tell. So let's get into this. Reasons why LeBron isn't a numbers guy. So some of this information is inaccurate. Most of it is because it's less than the number stated rather than uh rather than being too few. So the first one is 5,000 plus turnovers. I was actually just recently made aware he is over 5,600 turnovers. The last time I checked, it was 5614, but it is likely more than that now. So that's great. In my LeBron's turnovers will never be passed, I broke down how long it would take for someone to break LeBron's turnover record from one turnover per game for 82 games this season up to seven turnovers per game for 82 season or an 82 game season. And the numbers are just insane. It doesn't make any sense. Second is 120 teammates traded. Now, that's not normally a metric that you would hold against a player, except for damn well that LeBron had something to do with every single one of those teammates being traded. And I have to assume it's because he didn't think they were good enough, that they weren't providing enough help. The third is 8 coaches fired. I was looking at it, and from high school until Jordan retired from the Wizards, he had 9 coaches total. I believe that LeBron has had 13, and 5 of those were from the Lakers alone. I could be wrong there, but I don't believe that I am. Why is that not? There we go. Next, he's been swept 3 times. That's crazy. I I don't even know how to I don't even have anything else to say to that. Next is 14,485 missed field goals, and it's likely more by now. Man, that's a lot of missed shots. I actually have a very short clip of Jordan talking about he missed over 9,000 shots in his career. 14,485 and likely more is a hell of a lot more than 9,000. 104 playoff losses. This is one of those that I don't believe that you can consider yourself the greatest of all time if you have the most playoff losses all time, which goes into the next one, 33 finals losses. Uh, Most finals losses all time. He may be tied for Jerry West for finals losses, but 33 finals losses is just insane. I mean, it makes sense when you go to the finals 10 times and you only win 4 of them. You're obviously going to lose a lot more than you've won. And when you get swept in the finals, that's a lot of losses adding up without any wins to offset. Lynetta, what title is that? I feel like I missed something. My brain's stupid, so you have to forgive me. 10 All-Star game losses. That's the next one. Oh, yeah, yeah, most missed shots. I'm sorry, I should have picked up on that. Oh, they would constantly clown Kobe for that. Just make an absolute mockery of him. And yet, now that LeBron holds that distinguished title, all they do is make excuses for it. I heard somebody say, well, his usage percentage is so high. When you take a lot of shots, you're going to miss a lot of shots. His usage percentage was not nearly as high as Jordan's, and Jordan doesn't have nearly as many missed shots. So that excuse is debunked. If you're not a good shooter, you're going to have a lot of missed shots, especially when you only shoot 38% outside of 3 feet. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of missed shots because you're not a good basketball player. What's funny is even at the basket, he's still barely above average. As a shooter within 3 feet. Oh, 100% McZuggins. In those 120 players that were traded and 8 coaches that were fired, every one of those franchises got fucked. And then the narrative that they've created because of that is they look at the Cavs after LeBron left and they're like, look what a garbage team they were after he left. Yeah, because he gutted them, fucked them for money, and then disappeared. What are they supposed to do? There are many players that were garbage or mediocre before playing with Jordan. He turned them into greatness. And people want to act like they were always great. Like Steve Kerr is a perfect example of that. I was going to say the Bulls acquired him from the Spurs. And the reality is the Spurs didn't really want to have anything to do with him because he didn't provide them with anything. And now they want to act like Steve Kerr was this legendary player. See, McZuggins, if you don't have your channel, this is exactly why the fuck you need one, because I didn't know any of this. And costing LA 6 first-round picks, how much better could they be? And 2029, that is crazy. What really gets me is, I mean, I don't even necessarily think the Lakers making the move for Luka was a bad idea, as much as I don't even like him as a player or the way that he plays the game. He is certainly far more beneficial to them than LeBron is. But when you have to give away the farm to get him, and as long as LeBron is there, they're not going to accomplish anything. I mean, in the video I made today, Stephen A. Smith was talking about the Lakers are contenders. If LeBron is on the team and on the court, they're absolutely not contenders. He will turn the ball over. He will miss shots. He will flop. He's a liability. I also think it's funny, and I mentioned this in the video, but Stephen A. said how effective LeBron is. That's an incredibly ambiguous statement that means nothing. Effective at what? You didn't even qualify your statement. And you didn't qualify it because he's a liability on defense. Yes, he may be trying harder the last few games, but that's just because I think he can't ignore the noise from the fans and from the media forever that the Lakers are better when he's not on the court. So I think he's putting in a modicum of effort. I mean, diving for that ball was pathetic, but it was effort. Like, I can't deny that fact. I honestly, I can't think of another time in all of his career that I watched, which certainly hasn't been all of it, but I've never seen him do that before. Well, that's what I find so funny about it is they just regurgitate the same thing year after year after year after year, and it's the same people that do it. That's why I made the joke that ESPN or Fox News or whatever is just using the same footage over and over and over again. I absolutely do. Sorry, I can't type and talk at the same time. But yeah, if you email me, I mean, I'm pretty much free any time of day, so I can make anything work. What's going on, Rap God? So yeah, please reach out. I'm happy to help or support in any way that I can. Look out for a pineapple. I'm either too old or too stupid to know what the hell that means. Either one I'm okay with. Oh, anyway, 10 All-Star game losses. That's just pathetic, especially since the All-Star game is a fucking joke. I haven't taken the All-Star game seriously since I want to say it was 2006 or 2008. It was whenever Kobe spanked LeBron. That was the last All-Star game that I think deserved to be called an All-Star game. 110 free throws missed in the finals. I mean, that's 110 points left off the scoreboard. Oh, all right, cool. I mean, I am old and I am stupid, but I'm okay with that. Uh yeah, 110 points left off the scoreboard. It always makes me laugh when they say big men can't shoot free throws, especially because I believe that LeBron and Bird are the same height, which I believe is 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", one of those two. Uh, Bird shot 88% from the free throw line for his career. LeBron shot 73%. That's a 15% difference. And it's because A, Bird is a better shooter, and two, I guarantee that that Bird practiced free throws because he didn't want to let his team down if he was fouled at the end of a game. He wanted to make sure that he was going to deliver those points. LeBron clearly doesn't give a fuck. If you played the game for 23 years and the free throw is the one shot in basketball that does not change, you're not practicing. That's it. Oh, let's see. Where do I rank Horace Grant all time? And that's a good question. I have a hard time with Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen because all of my love for them, and I am fortunate enough to own an autographed Bulls jersey from both of them. I don't like them anymore, and that has sullied my perception of them. There was a point that I would have said, I mean, can you rank Horace Grant in the top 50? I just don't think so. I think there's just so many better players. He was a quality role player. You know, I think he did his job. Do I think he could be swapped out on those bowl teams and they're still successful? Absolutely. Pippen is a bit different. I genuinely despise the Scottie Pippen saved Michael Jordan narrative because I don't believe that there's any reality in that. However, regardless of what Pippen was before he was teamed with Jordan and Jordan made him better, he still ended up being a great basketball player. An incredibly solid defender. I would even say elite or at least close to. I think some of the other narratives, like him locking down Magic full court in the 91 finals. Well, I mean, that's just been disproven time and time and time again. Top 25. I don't know. I genuinely think I could come up with 25 other players that I would put above him. And I don't necessarily think that's disparaging him or disrespecting him. He was a fantastic basketball player. You know, Bronny needs more help. That is exactly something I completely agree with that. Especially given that Jordan has given both of them their flowers on so many occasions for them to just turn coat and decide he's not the greatest. And some of the things that Pippen has said are just crazy. Talking about Jordan wasn't a great player, he wasn't a great teammate, he took bad shots. Hey, it's good to see you too. I am glad that you are here. It is my hope to continue doing them. However, without airing too much of the bullshit in my life, I have been unemployed for a year and 4 months. I was denied disability. So I live off a very small amount of money every month. And streaming services or the software that allows me to stream isn't cheap. So I need to find a way to continue this. So I'll have to keep working at that. But that is my goal. I would like to do 2 live streams a week. Whether or not that's feasible, I mean, time will tell. We will have to wait and see. Absolutely. I think a huge majority of those bowls on both three-peats were players that either had already had their prime and teams were done with them. I mean, Paxson was a Spur, Kerr was a Spur, Rodman was a Piston, and not a lot of the teams wanted anything to do with them. I genuinely believe that if Scottie Pippen had stayed on the Sonics where he was drafted, I would probably know his name because I live in Seattle and I would watch the Sonics. He's not a household name. I think he easily would have been overshadowed by Sean Kemp, by the Glove, by Xavier McDaniels, by Detlef Schrempf, McKee. Like, I easily believe he would have ended up a role player. And I don't think there's any question about that. None of them would have taken him under his wing like Jordan did and forced him to take the game more seriously, force him to toughen up. So that's the part of it that makes me the most sad when I hear Scotty say the things that he does about Michael Jordan, to be like, do you realize what you wouldn't be if it wasn't for Jordan? Some people need to be dragged to the finish line, and I don't even necessarily think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, how many people compete or try as hard as Michael Jordan? I mean, there's a lot of greats that obviously did, but the majority of the players in the NBA don't. They don't have that drive within them to do it on their own. Or sometimes they just need to know that they have a teammate, someone to fight with them. So let's continue on with the list real quick. 0 for 7 for winning shots in the finals. Talk about unclutch. 0 for 7 for game-winning shots in the finals, especially when, how many shots did Jordan have in the finals to win? God, I wish my memory worked like it used to. More than one. Let's just say that. Only player to be swept in 3 different decades. You know what's hilarious is some fanboy commented on this and said, well, the only reason why he's been swept in 3 decades is because he's one of the only players to play in 3 decades. First of all, that doesn't excuse it. And I don't care. Playing a long time is not a metric for greatness for me. It means nothing. Most greats overstayed their welcome. The reason why Emmitt Smith has the most rushing yards in the NFL is because he stayed longer than he should have. If he did not play for the Cardinals, he wouldn't have nearly as many rushing yards as he ended up with. I mean, I know he broke the record on the Cowboys, but still. That's funny. That is, I mean, Clutch Sports delivers on so many levels. I agree. I think Kobe stayed longer than he needed to. I absolutely appreciate his competitive spirit and his want to continue to do great things. The problem with Kobe, and it was something that worked for him and then inevitably worked against him, is I genuinely believe he pushed himself harder than anyone has ever pushed themselves to be great. But in doing so, it destroyed his body. And so, especially his last few years in the league, I would have respected the entirety of his career more if he had cut it a few years short. I don't understand that either. I completely agree with that. Barry Sanders is, in my personal opinion, the greatest running back to ever play the game. And I have not watched football in a while, so my remembrance of statistical data may be off, but I don't believe in the 10 years that Barry Sanders played, he ever rushed for less than 1,200 yards. And Emmitt Smith is 100% overrated. I would take Frank Gore over Emmitt Smith. If you're looking for somebody to do something at a moderate level for an extended period of time, I'm probably going to take Frank Gore more. McZuggins, is that the guy talking about the All-Star game and playing harder when he said, why play harder? There are some people that just have punchable faces. That guy has a punchable face. Doesn't make any sense. Betrayed his teammates 3 times to join super teams. I mean, we're all very familiar with this. He fucked over every one of those teams when he left. Most walkouts before the game is over. I mean, the Pistons, they did a little bit of that, especially against the Celtics. But you know what? I'll be the first to say that the Pistons are just as much a punks as LeBron. Even though Rodman is my favorite player of all time, which I guess is a walking contradiction, but I still stand by it. I have to be honest. When I stopped watching the NBA in 99, I did not watch the NBA again until 2020. So I missed all but I think 2 years, maybe 2.5 years of Kobe's career. So I don't really have a lot of knowledge on Kobe and what he did. I've absolutely gone back and watched games, watched some of his finals, watched a lot of documentaries on him, but I don't know everything about him. He seemed like a stand-up guy to me. Really? Someone calling me a hater? For what? Why am I a hater? I mean, that's a moniker I wear proudly. I'm just curious why you think so. Oh, after, I mean, I didn't realize what I was walking into when I started watching again in 2020. I wish I never would have came back and started watching. It was an absolutely terrible, terrible mistake. I can't tell. All they said is you a hater, which is not only grammatically inaccurate, but it's just a weak cop out. Tell me why. Tell me what I got wrong. One thing that fanboys need to realize is I do not offer them a platform on my channel at all in any context. You do not get a voice. So, any of you that I have made moderators so far, if you see any of that shit, block them. Get them the fuck out of here. When I see their comments, I do not respond. I just delete the comment. You do not get a voice here. There are places like Sports and Fitness Rants and 93Z that want to educate or allow them to stay. I don't. I think that's true. I think the players union will absolutely do anything to make the game as soft as possible, where they want to get the most amount of money for the least amount of effort. Ever since the player empower movement, that's just the way that it's been. And it's interesting because well before I started watching basketball in the 50s and 60s, players were treated like indentured servants. And I think that's too far one way, but we've absolutely overcorrected and it's gone too far the other. Kobe is Larry Holmes. Oh, not even Mike Tyson. Like, I mean, Mike Tyson was a great boxer, but he did get his ass whipped a few times. Roy Jones Jr. is crazy. I mean, I'm not even a huge boxing guy, but that motherfucker can box. What I don't like is when everybody credits as Floyd Mayweather as the greatest boxer of all time. Tyson to Shaq, that's interesting. I think Tyson never ever should have boxed again after getting out of prison the first time. Like he just should have let that shit go and moved on with his life. And then what was his wife name? Robin Gibbons, was that her name? I don't know, she was on 21 Jump Street way back in the day. Yeah, it just went all crazy after that. And honestly, after biting Holyfield's ear off, I don't think he should have been allowed to box after that. I remember hearing about Jack Johnson, but I don't really know anything about him. I think it's Merriweather beating women that disparages me from him. That makes it impossible for me to like him. I also wish that he would have fought McGregor in MMA. I was going to say McGregor is not a boxer. He has proven that on many occasions. I mean, apparently that's all it takes now. You just have to have a long career, and that's it. That's all it takes. I mean, I don't really either. I just unfortunately am addicted to the fucking internet. So sometimes things just go in my brain and refuse to leave. And then other things that I want to remember disappear almost immediately. No, I don't really like celebrities. I think celebrity is, especially in the US, celebrity is like people worship celebrities. I don't get it. Oh, I've seen that before. The pretend Jordan flop compilations. Those are a fucking joke. First of all, because you can tell in no way did he throw himself on the ground. Now, I'll be 100% honest. Did Jordan sell fouls sometimes? Yes. But given how much the Pistons were physically assaulting him, I think he gets a pass for selling the occasional foul. When there's pictures of you with Rodman on your back and Lambeer draped halfway across you and they didn't call a foul, I'm going to go ahead and let you get away with selling a few fouls. That's just my opinion. I don't condone flopping at all, but at least in soccer, I kind of get it because there aren't timeouts. There aren't a whole lot of stoppages. You're just running your ass off for 90 minutes. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of soccer. So, but I believe it's 90 minutes to 45-minute halves. So, like, sometimes you need a break. And, if you can get a yellow card or a red card for somebody, I mean, it's still dirty ass play. But at least in soccer, I get it. In basketball, especially in the modern game, there are so many stoppages. I don't know what the hell you're doing. That's where it really doesn't make sense to me. No, he has never rolled on the floor without ever being touched. I can't think of a single incident. And the majority of the basketball that I watch, which actually, just in case you guys don't know the channel, let me see if I can find it here really quick because I actually just ran across it fairly recently. It is channel 23, Michael Jordan in HD. If you guys have not seen this channel, you should absolutely check it out because it is fantastic and the games look absolutely great. But that's probably the most basketball that I watch. So I have very fresh memories of a lot of Jordan games in my brain. I'm not misremembering because it was in the 80s and 90s. Isn't that crazy? Him and Rodman both diving for balls in their 20s and 30s like lunatics. Man, that's such a hard question for me to ask because if I'm being 100% honest, I almost watch zero modern NBA. There are guys that I hear about, but I haven't really seen them play. I have such a hard time watching a modern NBA game. First of all, because it's so fucking slow. Like they talk about the pace is so much faster, but it just feels like a bunch of people fucking standing around and there are so many stoppages. I don't like it. I don't like that many stoppages. I want to see people play basketball, not fucking around. It's interesting. I had always thought, and because I had stopped watching basketball for such an extended period of time, I thought the removal of hand checking is what ruined the NBA. And I'm very much learning that it was more the addition of the 3-second rule that has completely ruined the game. Because hand checking is great. I absolutely wish that they would bring it back. But the 3-second rule, that's just not basketball. That's not even accidental basketball. That's fucking bullshit, is what it is. Outlawing big men from living in the paint. Where the fuck else is a big man supposed to be? That's crazy. Baseball overtaking the NBA. I mean, I can't even remember the last time that's ever happened. The load management too. I mean, I've addressed this a few different times. Uh, I got to see Jordan play live 3 different times. Every single one of those games, every single starter on both teams played in that game. So I got the joy of seeing all-time greats play against each other live. I didn't go to an NBA game in 22 years. The first time that I decided to go to a game, 4 starters didn't start. 3 starters from one team, 1 starter from the other team. I almost left. Like, I don't understand it. I think when I looked fairly recently, so it may have been statistics from last season, I wanna say 11 or 12 players played all 82 games. That means, because I believe there are around 225 players in the NBA, almost 210 didn't play 82 games. Oh, they love yelling, "Hey." That's one of their favorite things. Though that actually reminds me of, I can't remember if it was 93 there, if it was Sports and Fitness Rants, but he was talking about how Luca has 15 technical fouls, and if he gets his 16th, he will be suspended for a game. LeBron has 1. How is that possible? Especially since they're basically fucking clones of each other. That just means one is being punished and the other isn't. That's selective enforcement, and that's bullshit. Yeah, see, I was born in '76, so I was slightly after that. Uh, but I did start watching the NBA when I was 8 years old, in '84, so I got to see the majority of the '80s, all of the '90s. The contested dunk is better. It's more impressive. No, it's not for assaulting the ref. That's what's crazy, is he just completely got away with that. There is no footwork anymore. And yeah, dribbling is, I mean, you can't call it dribbling. I mean, it's more carrying and traveling than dribbling. Like, I think it's funny when modern fans watch a player like Bob Cousy with him dribbling the ball. And the reality is, it does look strange in comparison to how they dribble now, because his hand had to be on the top of the ball at all times, especially back then, or it was a fucking carry. They didn't mess around. If your hand wasn't on the top of the ball, it was a carry. You weren't allowed to dribble the side of the ball at all. So when they talk about, players like Kyrie having handles, I was like, he wouldn't have handles if they were officiating the game properly, because that wouldn't be allowed. I haven't watched the entirety of his career, but I think you're right. I don't think he's ever beat a defender on the dribble. First of all, I find it crazy because he is left-handed, but he dribbles and shoots primarily with his right hand. And if he tries to dribble or shoot with his left, it is almost an immediate turnover. Well, that's what gets me. I mean, how many steps do you need when you're allowed to not dribble the ball? I mean, I don't know if any of you guys saw that short that I made that LeBron moves like Bigfoot. Um, and actually, I don't think I put in the entirety of his movement, but it was a pretty egregious travel where I think he took 6 steps without the ball touching the ground. Well, that's why I think well, I'm glad that he accepted my apology because that was almost a hate crime calling him that or comparing the 2. I felt really bad after it. I'm not particularly a big fan of Kyrie as an individual. I've garnered more respect for him in the latter years of his career. He's a hell of a player, but I would be curious if we could take those 1950s, 1960s refs and have them officiating today. I would be curious how great would these players be with proper officiating according to the rule book, which they have not changed. How great are these modern era players? How many of them foul out or at least get into foul trouble in the first quarter? That's my biggest problem with it. If they want to dramatically change the course of the game, change the fucking rule book. Because when I go and I look on NBA.com in their rule book, where they have many videos that show exactly what they mean by the rules, they are not following the rules. Do I think LeBron sees the damage he's caused, like to the NBA? Absolutely not. I don't think he thinks he's done anything wrong with the game. I don't think he sees anything wrong with the way that he plays. He obviously doesn't have a problem with flopping or with foul baiting or yelling at or touching the refs. Like everything that he does is pretty egregious. And I think if there was even the tiniest amount of character, integrity, or class, he would have made himself retire. I understand the point that you're trying to make, but I mean, MJ can't be held accountable for that. I mean, being the absolute greatest to ever play the game, I mean, what the fuck are you going to do? I think they would have had to cheat the game for almost anyone to surpass him or to even create another individual on the same level. Because one of the things that's never talked about with Jordan is his candor on and off the court. He handled himself. What's up, Angry Old Hoops? He handled himself with immaculate decorum on the court and off the court. He wasn't yelling at refs. He wasn't yelling at players. I'm not saying it never happened, but it wasn't blatantly in your face. And then to be as famous as he was, which he may have been more famous than Michael Jackson. I still am not entirely sure. It was definitely one of the Mikes that was the most famous human being to have ever existed. But Jordan in the 90s at that time, like, I mean, they even touched on it a little bit in The Last Dance. He couldn't leave his hotel room. He couldn't go and do anything like a fucking normal person. he constantly had security around him and people just mobbing him. And I don't think you can find a clip of him yelling at a fan like you can find of LeBron. I mean, there may have been times where he ghosted somebody and walked right by him, but I can't even necessarily blame him because he was so fucking famous. If he stopped for one person, now he stopped for 300. And what could have been a 20-second interaction is now a 3-hour commitment because he did it for the fans. He didn't want to walk away. He wanted to sign the autographs. He wanted to be there and hear their stories or, whatever interactions that they wanted to have with him. He wanted to honor that. And LeBron does not have that. Kobe, quite frankly, was just too cold, too calculated. He had charisma, but he didn't have charm. That's another place where Jordan was blessed because he had charisma and charm, and that is incredibly rare. I would agree with that. Especially in the later years of Michael Jackson's life, he became famous and not for Thriller. I don't know, man. I saw some people get pretty close to feigning seeing Jordan as grown ass men. I don't know. I haven't met a lot of stars or celebrities in my life, but I've never been starstruck. I guess I just don't hold people in that kind of reverence. I'm like, I don't know you. Maybe you're a cool person. Maybe you're an asshole. I have no idea. I'll give you an opportunity, but respect is earned. I'm not just going to immediately worship somebody because they have a familiar face. I say maybe that's where I'm wrong. I do have to point out, just because there are actually a few people here, the post on my channel of LeBron and the two arm slings, I didn't make that. I wish I did. I wish I had the idea to come up with it. All the other ones on my channel I have made, but that one I didn't, and it was by far the most popular. But I can't take credit for something I didn't do. I don't doubt it. I 100% believe that he had an aura, and I don't even necessarily think I think that comes from supreme self confidence, from knowing who you are, liking who you are, and a small dose of not caring what other people think. I think that creates an aura around you that people are drawn to. I mean, they're both absolutely fantastic. I own a number of mobile fidelity master releases of Michael Jackson's albums on vinyl. I held them both in incredibly high regard. I spent far too much money buying shit from both of them. I mean, this will absolutely date me, but in 1985, I absolutely owned that red leather jacket with the silver and all the zippers. I looked like a jackass in it, but I did own it. I did not own the glove, though. I am curious. Uh, this came up in a conversation I was having recently, and somebody was blown away by it. What was your guys' first concert that you ever saw? I am incredibly lucky to say my very first concert was Prince in 1986 for Purple Rain. Still one of the best concerts I've ever seen in my entire life. If you're talking about first concert that was not something that was taking place today, if you're talking about Michael Jordan and Michael Jackson, Prince is a genius. And so I'm actually going to tell a very short story about going to that concert. I was 10 years old. Prince drove onto stage in a pink Cadillac, and there was a basketball hoop, and he shot baskets during the concert. So when I saw that Dave Chappelle skit like 25 years later, I knew that it was true because I had seen him play basketball. He had a jetpack, man. If you had a jetpack, I missed it. I don't think I ever heard anyone talk about having a bad experience with Michael Jordan. I mean, I never got to meet him myself, but from my understanding, I mean, he may not have always been, incredibly friendly, but I think he was always pretty gracious. Oh, yeah, see, I'm gonna have to look that up and see if I can find any footage of it because I never saw that before. I always thought jetpacks were cool. I was disappointed that they didn't catch on more. I mean, it makes sense, but I was still disappointed. The 12-year-old in me thought that they were great and it never really went away. So trying to get more back to basketball, I don't know if you guys heard, read about, or saw any of the I don't arguing between Stephen A. Smith and Charles Barkley about whether or not the Lakers are contenders. What do you guys think? Do you guys think the Lakers are contenders? I personally do not think they are contenders, especially if LeBron is on the court. They are 100% not contenders. I mean, when was the last time they made it to the second round? What was that, 2023, 2024? I mean, I think at this point, they're pretty much guaranteed a spot in the playoffs unless they completely shit the bed. Uh, I have to assume it's going to be a first round exit. I just can't see anything else, especially with LeBron on the court. I mean, he's guaranteed to turn the ball over. He's a liability on defense. So I don't see how. Well, because what's their record against 500 or better teams? I mean, Luca has been delivering. I mean, as much as I do not like him, he delivers. That's why I thought it was funny when that headline I was talking about on AOH and Sports and Fitness Rants live stream, where they said Luca Reeves and LeBron combined to score 90. LeBron only scored 18 of those 90 points. Luca scored 51 of them. Reeves scored 30. I have actually never met a professional basketball player. I have only met one sports star. I met King Griffey Jr. I used to work at Red Robin a long, long, long time ago, and he came in and nice enough guy, but shitty tipper. And to me, that says a lot. Bronny needs more help. I'm not sure of the comment you're referring to. My brain is seriously on like a 5-second delay and things will fly in and fly out of it. So I apologize if I missed something. Ken Griffey Jr. was a very nice guy. I was his server at Red Robin. He was friendly. He, wasn't over demanding. He didn't seem like an entitled dickhead. Uh, but given at that time how much money he was making, he left a miserable tip. I don't even think it was 10%. And I think, especially if you're affluent and you don't leave a big tip, I don't know. To me, that says something about you. Absolutely great player. I was pissed because I used to have his rookie card and I gave it away when I was young. Bronny needs more help. That doesn't surprise me. I am reading all of these comments, and without any type of segue, I just go into the next one. So if you're confused, I completely understand and I apologize. Welcome to my brain. I mean, it is what it is. The reality is I had customers every single day that were shitty tippers. Like, the only reason why that stands out to me is because he was famous. Other than that, it is what it is. I don't hold it against him. I mean, if I met him again, I'm not going to bring it up and say you were a shitty tipper. I can't stand you. Like, he was a nice enough guy. Uh, my brother had a run in with Russell Wilson because Russell Wilson cut him off in traffic and then was getting in my brother's face. And my brother, like me, doesn't take shit. And they almost got into an altercation. But yeah, Russell Wilson is somebody that I cannot stand. I didn't have the interaction with him personally. But yeah, he was basically, he's a jackass. I was never a Seahawks fan either, so I didn't really care. But that wouldn't surprise me at all. He just seems like the type of guy that would feel entitled to incredible service, but shouldn't have to pay for it. Like you owe it to him. I have absolutely no expectation for this leading anywhere, but I'm literally at a point of desperation. If you guys are aware of any remote work jobs, I would love to hear from you because, like I said, I have been out of work for about a year and 4 months. Uh, I got laid off shortly after my accident, and then I was denied disability. So if you guys know of any jobs, hit me up at therealsiberius@gmail.com. I would love to hear about any opportunities that you may know about, because I have been looking for a job like a motherfucker and have not had any luck. I mean, it's not just me. Like, it certainly seems to be the job market, and it's not going well, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. So, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah. My problem is with 3 brain injuries, my brain just doesn't work as well as it used to. I mean, it's part of the reason how I lost the job that I had, and I honestly don't know if I can work. I have not been tested again with another job to see if I could actually find a way to make it work. I literally may not be able to hold down a job anymore. I don't know. But the only way to know is to try and find out. Yes. I was going to say my email address is on my channel page. I think you have to click on more info about this channel and it will show up. It's rough. Uh, but you know what? For every hardship, there's always a silver lining. Sometimes life is shit, but it's so you can get to something better. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, like, when the accident first happened, I was fucked up, and it changed my life in a lot of negative ways. But now that some time has passed through it, I've had time to process it. It's been a gift. I mean, that's the reality of it, is I was a damaged, fucked up motherfucker before my accident, and thankfully, the universe decided to knock some sense into me. And I am a firm believer, regardless of what the hell anybody says and regardless of their life experience, things have an amazing way of working out. Uh, should qualify for disability and do qualify for disability are very different things. When I got denied disability, I was a wreck, because that was at least a safety net, for income. And I started looking into it. And again, I'm not the best at remembering statistical data, but from what I do recall, the very first time that you apply for disability, you have roughly a 13% chance of being accepted, regardless of your circumstances. Circumstances are irrelevant. Whether you have a hangnail or whether you have 3 traumatic brain injuries, the first time you apply, you have about a 13% chance of getting accepted. When you appeal, it goes up to about a 23% chance of acceptance. And then your second appeal, you actually meet in person in front of a committee, and it goes up to 52%. That's as good as it gets. I completely agree. I believe that your adversity is as hard as you make it. And if you wake up in the morning and think, my life is shit, well, guess what? That's probably some foreshadowing that you're creating yourself. Regardless of all the shit that has happened to me in my life, it's made me who I am. And I love who the fuck I am. So if you take away those circumstances, I'm not going to be the same person. I don't want to be anybody else. I like being me. And love me or hate me, I still like being me. That's just the reality of it. And I wish that it was a mentality or perception that more people had. Fuck what other people think. I have found, and it's actually in a book, but I've really kind of defined it into my own cornerstones of my life. One, don't take anything personally, positive or negative. Don't take anything personally. The only perception that matters is your own. If other people like you, that's great. You should respect and appreciate it. If they like you or if they don't like you, who gives a shit? What does that have anything to do with you? So don't take anything personally. Be impeccable with your word, meaning be honest, be real. Don't lie, deceive, or manipulate. Three, don't make assumptions. We often like to pretend that our assumptions are wisdom, but it's fear masquerading as wisdom. We're foreshadowing what we think and what we want onto other people. And lastly, do your best. Whatever the fuck you're doing, do it to the best of your ability. The most succinctly I had ever heard that put was actually from Uncommon Sense. And he says, how you do anything is how you do everything. That's just the reality of it. It doesn't matter if I'm sweeping a floor, building a computer, making a fucking YouTube video. I want to do it the best that I can. Because if I do it the best that I can, if I fail, how can I be upset? I tried my hardest. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I had no intention of making any money from YouTube. Uh, if it ever does happen, great. That's not my expectation or my intention. I decided to do this because I watched Uncommon Sense and Angry Old Hoops and Sports and Fitness Rants, and I just always thought to myself, I want to be a part of that. I want to be in that circle. And I thought, well, there's only one way to fucking do that. I need to put myself in a position where I can do that. Brandon needs more help. I have not read that book, but I have noted that and I 100% will because it absolutely sounds like it's right up my alley. So, because I'm terrible at remembering things, I took a picture of it on my phone so I will not forget. Richard, what's going on? I appreciate that you guys enjoy this content. I mean, I'm not going to lie. My first, I think, 3 months when I was making videos, almost no one saw them, which I mean, that's just to be expected. Um, I didn't know if I had the balls to carry on. Thankfully, I do have a big ass purse. I mean, I call it a backpack, but I mean, you could call it a purse. There are people that try to make everyone like them, and you know what? They have far more successful channels than myself. But I said it before and I'll say it again. I would rather have 8 subscribers that give a shit than 200,000 that don't. I'm actually outside of Seattle. I think I live about 30 miles away from Seattle. Uh, Brian needs more help. I will remember that. Absolutely. Four quarters rather than 100 pennies. Absolutely. I don't know. I turn 50 years old in just shy of 2 weeks. I have lived a life full of hardship, uh, but I don't really view it that way. I just know who the fuck I am, and I want to fuck with people who know who they are. I don't do superficial. I don't do fake. I just do me. And some people aren't going to like me. That's been the story of my entire life. And I'm okay with it. It doesn't ruin my day when somebody doesn't like me. I also think I need to handle myself with a certain decorum. I need to act in a way that earns respect, but not everyone is even going to respect me. I have fanboys coming at me in my comment section. Okay, call me a hater. Great. Already told you that's a moniker I wear proudly. So let's move on. What's next? Because that's all you have to say. You're a hater. All right, you win. Like Kobe said about LeBron, what do you want, a fucking cookie? Oh, that's the last thing I do is tolerate people's shit. If I'm not going to tolerate it from my friends that I've known for 30 years, I'm certainly not going to tolerate it from some jackass I don't know. And fitting in is something I wouldn't even know how to do if I tried. Oh, I completely agree. I have pretty much found that everybody that dislikes me, I already don't like. So even if you did like me, we're still not going to be friends because odds are I can't stand you already. Not everybody's meant to be liked. Not everybody's meant to be your friend. One of my favorite and least favorite expressions is it is what it is. I like it because it's true. I don't like it because it is incredibly dismissive of whatever the fuck you're going through. I even said it after my accident when my fucking skull was missing. It is what it is. Well, yeah, that is true, but it is incredibly dismissive of your experience. Scaly, I'm not gonna lie, I have that thought a lot. I'm like, am I just preaching to the choir? I don't think I'm converting any fanboys. And if you already agree with the shit that I'm saying, I mean, like, I enjoy doing it. I'm going to keep doing it regardless. But there are definitely times that I think I am preaching to the choir and they have heard this sermon before. I agree. It is actually incapable of somebody to disrespect me because in order for them to disrespect me, I would have to respect them in the first place. Yeah, a stranger, there's no way that a stranger could disrespect me because I don't respect you to begin with. So why would I respect anything that you say? I mean, I don't ever really show my face on camera. In fact, I've only showed it in a picture in one of my videos where my skull was missing. I am Mexican and Native American. I have had people call me racist names. None of them bother me. I don't identify with either of those things. So you can say what you want. Why would I care? Well, and that's the thing. The reality is I don't even have to convert anyone. If I can accomplish two things with this channel, I'll be incredibly happy. And the reality is I've already done both. One, I wanted to be asked to sit in the inner circle with Uncommon Sense, Angry Old Hoops, Sports and Fitness Rants. And I was already asked to do a live with them. If I'm never asked to do another one again, that's totally fine. Again, I won't take it personal. That was what I set out to accomplish. I accomplished that goal. And a few people, while not many, again, which is totally fine, have responded to my more life focused videos and said that I helped them. Done. I had two goals when I started out. I accomplished both of those goals. If I stopped this YouTube channel tomorrow, which I have no intention of doing, but if I did, I already met my goals. I'm 100% going to steal that line, but I will give you credit for it. I agree, McZuggins. I can also say, and I mean this wholeheartedly, I have already succeeded on this YouTube channel because all of the people that have subscribed to this channel, especially those that have taken an active part in commenting in the lives, on commenting on posts, on shouting me out on other people's channels, that's what I was looking for. I wanted to create a community in a place that I didn't have one, and I feel like I've done that. And I hope beyond hope that I can inspire anyone because life is shit for everybody. I know some people that are incredibly affluent and they're miserable. Money cannot buy happiness because I have seen it and it does not. From my experience with money, money makes you more of what you are. And that's having more money than you need or having less money than you need. It makes you more of what you are. If you're a generous person, you're just going to be generous with more money. If you're a generous person, you're still going to find ways to be generous even if you don't have money. If you're a stingy prick with money or without money, you're going to be a stingy prick with it. And over the past 3 years of my life, I have been Well, let's just say I've gotten a very up close experience with that. Money can make people do great things or it can make them do fucking stupid bonehead things. I hope ever given the opportunity, I would take the right path. Sometimes you don't know. I've seen money do crazy shit to people. I am really going to have to find a way to make these live streams continue. This isn't even something I ever thought I would be able to do. When I very first started the YouTube channel, that alone scared the shit out of me. Just hitting record in OBS and talking into a microphone was a lot, especially for my brain. It took a while to get used to. And quite frankly, it takes a lot of editing, not to change anything that I've said, but if I were to ever upload a video that I record without editing, let's just say it's a very different experience. There's a lot of long pauses where there's no words being spoken and nothing being articulated. So the idea of coming onto a live stream was terrifying to me. But now that I've done it, I like it. I used to have a terrible fear whenever I would start recording a video. I don't really have that anymore. I still have an apprehension because I want to do it well. I want to exceed my own expectation and I want to make a product that I feel is worthy of my subscribers. But I don't have that same fear of talking into the microphone anymore. And this is only my third live stream that I've done. I mean, with the exception of the brief stints that I've done on other people's, I really enjoy it. You know, Scaly, that is interesting. I haven't really talked. I've mentioned my relationship with my ex-wife a few different times, mainly that we separated because I walked out on the relationship. But my relationship didn't end because our relationship ended. My relationship ended because my brain was fucked up and I was still trying to figure out how to use it. Um, my wife and I were together for 16 years. We were married for 11 of those, and we never had a single fight about money. And the way that we did that was we didn't share money. Her money was her money, my money was my money. And we obviously had shared expenses, like we had a mortgage that we had to pay, we had utilities we had to pay, you know, we had our own personal finances that we were accountable for, but we never shared a dime in that 16 years that we were together and never once had a single fight about money. And that would certainly be one thing. If I could make a suggestion to anyone, it would be that. And part of the reason why my wife and I did it is because we both felt I'm a fucking adult with a job. I make my own money. I should not have to ask if I can buy something. I think that is insane that I think when my wife and I first got together, I was 32. But as a 32-year-old, I have to go to someone else and say, is it okay if I buy this record? Is it okay if I upgrade my computer? I'm not doing that. I'm a fucking adult and I make my own money and I'm responsible with it. I'll buy what the fuck I want to buy. I think it's hilarious when people say, oh, I need to check with my wife or, oh, I need to check with my husband. The only time that my wife and I ever said that is when we were basically dismissing somebody, like somebody, a solicitor would come to our door and say, "Hey, we're trying to sell you this." And I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, I'd be very interested, but I need to check with my wife." No, I don't. See, that's where we are vastly different because I fucking love spending money. Now that I have a lot less of it, I spend a lot less of it, but yeah, I collect too many fucking things and am addicted to all of them. I like shoes, I like computers, I like audio equipment, I like records, I like basketball memorabilia. Can't stop. I should find a way. I need to find a psychiatrist not for emotional health, but for financial health, because that is certainly where I am lacking. I mean, some people can share money really well. I know, I have friends that have been together for 30 years and they share money great. That's just not something that I ever wanted to do. So OBS is free, but I actually use a website called StreamYard. I may be able to do it with OBS, but I don't know how to get it onto YouTube. And if I use StreamYard, it automatically does it. Like I create the live stream on StreamYard and it will create the live on my YouTube. Like I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to do multiple steps. And while I am very computer savvy, I also have to take precautions for my brain because sometimes I just literally forget steps or will mess up trivial details. So StreamYard just makes it incredibly simple. And it's not even terribly expensive. I mean, for all of the work that the software is doing, it works really well. So I'll find a way to keep doing it. I mean, this is something that is important to me and you guys seem to enjoy it. So it's something that I want to keep doing. At some point, once I get a little bit more familiar with the software, I would love to do call ins. Uh, I had posed the idea of interviewing people on the lives, asking them some pre scripted questions and then some off the cuff questions just to kind of learn more about me, but also more about my subscribers, more about the basketball community on YouTube as a collective whole. So once I'm more familiar with that, because I don't want to run into technical difficulties. That's frustrating for everybody involved. But especially for me, because when things go off the rails, they really go off the rails. Yeah, that's interesting. The hardest part of my accident for me was I had a superhuman brain. Now, when I say that, I don't mean I was a genius, um, but I had a memory like a steel trap. If I saw something, read something, or said something 20 years from now, I could recall it verbatim. I never had to have a calendar. I never had to have a schedule. I never had to have anything like that. I didn't have to do to-do lists or reminders. My brain was a fucking steel trap. The LeBron James of brains, fucking hell. I mean, my brain did flop. But yeah, the hardest part of it is that's not my brain anymore. So I genuinely had to have a funeral for that part of myself to accept that it is dead and gone. And regardless of the strenuous activity that I put upon my brain, the attention that I put into learning new skills, new tasks, and making my brain work off the cuff, like in these lives where I just have to think of relevant things to say, create them in my brain, and then find a way to articulate it to you guys in a way that you can comprehend and understand, then that's hopefully on point. That's a fucking struggle. I've been writing a book about this experience and what it was like from experiencing the accident to being in the hospital to recovering to physical rehabilitation. Uh Richard, that's a good question. So I have a calendar now that I use. I have reminders and to-do lists. I genuinely have an Alexa device in every room. So when I think of something, I can say, hey, remind me of that later. I do an insane amount of mental exercises. I have 4 or 5 different word games that I play. I have attention to detail games that I play. Uh, I do these things called math crosswords that I like to do. I just try to do anything that will force my brain to work in different ways. I'm not even sure when, if any of you will even remember this, but there was a memory game that I used to play when I was a kid, and it was just a bunch of square cardboard cards, uh, and they just had matching pictures on them, and you'd put them all out and turn them all upside down, and then you would flip over one by one and have to make matches. Still do that game to this day, and it has been incredibly helpful. Let's see. Nobody says auto coding for YouTube. McZuggins, I will absolutely look into that. That's not the first time that I've heard that. I have just been a little sorry, I actually had to take a moment there. Um, One of the shortcomings of my brain is I'm not good at following directions anymore. It used to be something I was really proficient at. And then with my computer knowledge, I could basically figure out how to do almost anything. I still have the computer knowledge, but my ability to procedurally solve tasks has been incredibly compromised. I have my own domain and my own email address. And at some point, it got fucked up. And despite looking at so many instructions on how to resolve it, I can't fix it. So I think it's fear or cowardice that has prevented me from looking into things that have a very detailed breakdown of how to do them because I'm really not great at it. And I can accept failure. I can accept sucking, but man, there are some things that are difficult. To this day are still difficult. I mean, I have definitely learned that the brain is like a muscle. If you do not use it, it will atrophy and you will feel the consequences of it. Especially immediately after my accident, it was imperative that I push my brain fast and push it hard. And it was incredibly instrumental in me getting to the point that I'm at. I mean, I don't know if any of you have ever met individuals with traumatic brain injuries. Uh, I'm a freak. There's no other way to describe it. Is I shouldn't have the cognitive ability that I do have. While I do have shortcomings, I can live with all of them. I can find ways to circumvent them and work around them. So I don't feel bad for myself. I feel incredibly fucking fortunate and lucky that my brain works as well as it does. But yeah, there are times that I still come up short. So I will check into that OBS and I 100% will take you up on your offer of help if I am unable to figure it out. I will 100% be willing to swallow my pride and accept any assistance you are willing to offer in that regard. I keep trying to think of more basketball shit to talk about, but the reality is because I don't pay attention to much of the modern game and don't really care, uh, there's not a lot of the game that I know about. The most information that I get of the modern NBA is when I join 93's for his live streams, and even that often goes off the rails of talking about the game. Oh, I came up well short before my situation because I am not superhuman. Actually, you know what? And because none of you know me, it won't make any sense to you. Um, I should have died 8 times in my life, and I haven't. And the reality is, while I am physically and mentally handicapped, I still work pretty well. And it has become kind of a joke amongst my friends because my favorite superhero is Deadpool. And I seem to have his regeneration. Like, it's not Wolverine generation. Like, I'm not going to, heal instantly, but there doesn't really seem to be anything that I can't find a way to heal from, which is kind of crazy. No, that's really why I watch is to support channels. And I mean, now that I have a channel, I try to pay a little bit more attention, not even because I want to address every bit of news about the NBA, but because I do want to stay relatively on topic. And while there is a lot, yeah, I'm hoping that's not the case. The one life, I still got a lot of shit that I want to do. So either that or I just need to live an incredibly protected life. for 4 months when my skull was missing, I had to wear a helmet all the time, which let me tell you is an incredibly sexy look. Uh, Maybe I should just wear my helmet all the time to help keep me alive. Oh, man, if I could steal my own healing powers and market those, it's, uh, it's freakish. I mean, I certainly hope this doesn't come across as self-aggrandizing because it's not. Um, I had a good 6-month period from when my accident took place to when I had my very last doctor's appointment where they were basically examining my skull after my skull had put back in and all the sutures had been removed. And it was basically my last doctor's appointment. Unless something came up, I didn't have any more appointments scheduled. It was going to be the last one. And I haven't needed to see the doctor since then. But in that last appointment, the neurosurgeon who did the operation on my brain after my accident, he removed my skull and put it back in, was sitting in the room with me. And he's like, I don't think you understand how rare this is. I was like, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. I haven't been around a lot of people with brain injuries, especially at that time, but I'm not normal. I know people that have one brain injury that can't do the things that I can do, and I have 3. It doesn't make it doesn't make any sense to the doctors. They cannot explain why my brain still functions the way well, I mean, and I completely agree with you. What the fuck is normal? I mean, the way that they describe it in the medical world is neurotypical, which I'm not even particularly sure that I like that word because A, nobody's brain is the same. 2 people could experience the exact same traumatic brain injury and it's going to impact them differently. The individual is as unique as the brain injury. My point is, I feel incredibly blessed that it's worked out the way that it has. Every single person I know that has a traumatic brain injury is far more cognitively and physically impacted than I am. I just try to be grateful for it. If it means I'm a freak, great. Wouldn't be the first time in my life that I'm a freak. Dude, I have had a punctured lung. I thought broken ribs were bad for trying to take a breath. Um, Punctured lung is next level. You know, the one thing that I found amazing, my accident took place in 2023, and I had many, many, many conversations with my neurologist, and he was just very transparent that in 2023, and I'm sure to this date, we don't know shit about the brain. Almost nothing. Our understanding is constantly being questioned and constantly being debunked and proven wrong. It is incredible how intelligent we always think we are. And then in the near, not even particularly distant future, we look back with hindsight and think, we really didn't know shit. Anyway, enough talk about the brain shit. I get caught up in it and I feel bad because it sometimes even ends up dominating conversation in my life and it's not intentional, but it does happen. So let's talk about something else. Who do we think is going to make it to the finals? My guess, not even sure I know. Part of it is because I'm not sure I care. I wouldn't mind seeing Celtic Spurs. Pass the peas. Absolutely. I like peas. I know a lot of people can't stand peas. I think peas are great. I would love to see a Spurs Thunder Western Conference Finals, and I would love to see the Thunder get their asses kicked. I know some people are a fan of the Thunder. I am not one of them. I think they are an overhyped team, and I'm just not a fan. People always condemn it, but way back when I liked the NBA and I liked the NFL, one of the things that I always liked about sports is you can just arbitrarily dislike someone for no reason. You can dislike a team for no reason. You can just say, I don't like that team. And yeah, you don't really have to substantiate it with fact or with evidence or with reason or logic. I just hope the Spurs win. The Spurs were always my secondary team. I was always a Bulls fan first. Uh, Now I can't even necessarily call myself a Bulls fan because I'm an 80s and 90s Bulls fan. I'm not really a fan of their modern team. But the Spurs, I love David Robinson. I love Tim Duncan. I even liked Rodman when he was a Spur for that incredibly brief time. I think it would be a game worth watching. And I don't feel like we've had a game that was worth watching in quite some time. I don't know if you guys saw the video that I made comparing the 92 All-Star game to the 2025 finals, but the 2025 finals fell well short of being entertaining. What's funny? That is funny, and yet not funny at all. It's 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 not surprising. I have to take ownership. I don't think I can consider myself a sports fan anymore. I believe in loyalty as a fan. And I lucked into being a Bulls fan. It was before they started winning championships, but they became a dynasty. In the NFL, the Vikings were my team from 1984 to I think 2022. And yeah, I don't know if I can call myself a loyal fan anymore because I have basically jumped ship on all sports. I don't really watch any of it anymore. I do occasionally go see Kraken games, which I do enjoy, but they're not a particularly great team, so it's hard to I feel like to be a fan you need an investment, and an investment has to be earned. Oh, I mean, I 100% agree they need to produce a quality product, but if I'm going to hold them accountable, I have to hold myself accountable as well. Because in my years as a Bulls fan and as a Vikings fan, I would constantly shit on Seahawks fans because those are the fans that I'm most surrounded by for being fair weather fans. And as soon as, they were garbage, which was a vast majority of my life, they would jump ship and wouldn't care anymore. And I was like, that's disgusting. First of all, that's not fandom. Fandom means I ride or die with this team through the highs and through the lows. And as a Vikings fan, there were a shit ton of lows. I mean, going 2-14 is rough, especially when they get their 2 wins early in the season. And then it's just loss, 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 loss. I never had to be a fair weather Bulls fan because as soon as Jordan retired, I was like, oh, I'm out. And I didn't watch any basketball anymore. So I never had to see them suck. But they've basically sucked since Jordan left. I mean, they had, a few brief moments, but I mean, the reality is it never came to fruition. No, I agree. Brian needs more help. I do agree with that. I was going to say, I mean, why should you have loyalty to someone who has no loyalty to you? And especially the players today have no loyalty. Absolutely none at all. They will jump ship at the turn of a dime, and that's that. They'll jump to another team, or the owners will trade them, bring in new talent that's not any good, get rid of a coach that you liked. Yeah, there's not really any reason to have loyalty to someone that has no loyalty to you. I wish I could enjoy any basketball. I keep trying. I was going to say, thankfully, they do show some games on Peacock. They do show some games on Prime. So I will, on rare occasion, try to tune in. Hopefully, as the younger generation gets more and more and more into the league and players like LeBron and KD and Curry get bounced, hopefully it will start to improve. I mean, I think influence plays a big role. I think there are still a lot of younger players that look up to players like LeBron and KD and Curry. And I think once they're gone, and it will probably take a while for their influence to disappear, but I hope it heads that way. I genuinely think the biggest struggle that the NBA is going to face is the commissioner. And as long as he's here, because he has genuinely tried to make the game softer, I feel like he is accountable for the change in officiating, but not even changing the rule book. I just I wish that they could understand that incentives don't make people try harder. You incentivize people with less, not with more. If I take away your livelihood or tighten the restrictions in which you earn your livelihood, you're going to put more effort in. Offering you more money or less games, that doesn't incentivize anyone to do anything. That's reinforcing negative behavior. You're just going to create bigger crybabies, not tougher individuals. Richard, I agree. I absolutely think his influence has marred the NBA, but he can't play forever. So he will inevitably disappear. But if Adam Silver is still the commissioner, he can still allow and condone all of those behaviors in other players, because LeBron isn't the only one that does them. He's not the only one that shouts at refs or flops or grabs refs or load manages, or almost the entirety of the NBA is guilty of that shit. They need somebody in position that's no longer going to tolerate that. And I think it's too late for Adam Silver. He's already demonstrated that's the type of individual that he is. He's going to accept mediocrity. He's going to lighten the workload, increase the pay. And there are no expectations and no consequences. And while our society on a whole seems to be a consequence-free environment now, I would love, and I mean, I don't think that this would ever happen, but I would love for Jordan to become the commissioner, where he just has ubiquitous control over rules, regulations, officiating, players union. Like, I think he has so much influence that he could dictate behavior. Well, I agree. I mean, yeah, it's not hard to pass the bar that LeBron has set before us when the bar's on the fucking ground, because yeah, McZuggins, I would say that's probably realistic. I mean, self-improvement requires self-destruction, whether you're an individual or an organization. It has to get worse before it gets better. I mean, Scaly, that's basically what they've made it into. How often, when you tune in to any sports media period, are they talking about X's and O's? They're not. They're talking about narratives. They're talking about headlines. They're talking about stories. They're talking about shenanigans. They're never talking about the game that's actually being played on the court. And they can't, because it's incredibly fucking boring. You can't make individuals chucking up threes, foul baiting for free throws. I mean, you can't have a game with 43 free throws by one player and make that shit interesting. There's nothing captivating about that. There's nothing inspirational about it. Most people, and I say most because there are obviously those people that think the 83-point game was impressive. Most people found it to be a fucking embarrassment. I was genuinely surprised before I made that video when I was looking at a lot of the headlines from the top news networks, not ESPN because they're a fucking joke. A lot of them were disparaging it. They weren't happy about it. They thought it was a disgrace to the game. And I mean, I think we all agree that it was. But if that's the kind of product that they're not only representing, but presenting and creating, who the fuck wants to be a part of that? I would literally rather turn the TV off and just watch the blank screen than watch that. It just doesn't make any sense at all. It's disgusting. And what's going on? I do believe it will improve, but I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. I mean, McZuggins, if that turns out to be true, uh, I'm looking forward to it. I hope that that is true. I have to imagine if you're a younger player and you weren't brainwashed by the media, you'd have to be disgusted by it. I mean, even if there's a hint of competitor within you and you got into the NBA, you'd be disgusted. I mean, if we're looking back at the history of the game, before Bird and Magic came into the league was in a dark, dark place. And without them, it would have disappeared. Without Bird and Magic, the NBA probably would have ceased to exist because people were tuning out and didn't fucking care. And I think that's just where we are. I think we're in that dark period. And I think fans, hopefully players, and hopefully owners are seeing it for what it is and are thinking, okay, this shit has to change. It's not sustainable. Oh, I mean, it is. It's way past dark. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I would happily watch the NBA before Bird and Magic showed up than watch the NBA now. Like, at least there was a level of competition, there was a level of grit. But I'm all for optimism. I say, like I said, things have a remarkable way of working out. And I think if you asked individuals that were big fans of the NBA before Bird and Magic came into the league, I think that they would probably think that it was pretty bleak. And then after Bird and Magic entered the league, they'd be like, wow, well, this is a way better product than it was. So hopefully we're just in the same position. We just have to ride out the storm a little bit longer. It disgusts me to say that we need to get rid of the old players because I'm older than all of them, but we need to get rid of the old players. They've become lazy and complacent and guilty of the most egregious crimes in NBA history. They have to go. You can't start over with all of them still in place. And even though their word and their wants don't carry as much weight as they used to, they still carry weight. I mean, if they had been completely forgotten, you wouldn't see as many idiotic interviews with Katie and LeBron. I will check them out. I need to put my money where my mouth is and look into the new players. And I mean, all it takes is one. The reality is, it was Jordan that got me invested in the NBA. It wasn't any other player, it was him. And it was fortuitous, it was serendipity, because I live in Washington. I lived in Washington my entire life. I've never even fucking been to Chicago. I just happened to turn on the TV and it was a Bulls game. And I actually sat down and watched it. And I was like, I don't know who the fuck number 23 is, but this is different. That's all it takes. I just need to find one player. And I mean, is he going to be Jordan level? No. I just need to check that expectation before it even enters my mind. But all of my favorite players aren't Jordan. And I still love him. I mean, Rodman is my favorite player of all time. He's not Jordan in a lot of ways. However, and again, this is my stupid brain. I actually even think it was somebody in this chat that said it, but they said he's the Michael Jordan of rebounding. And that I agree. The only reason oh, Scaly, 100%. There's there's a reason why there has been such a push to get TikTok taken offline because it is systematically stupefying our youth, our nation. And the less educated, the less informed, the less critical thinking that there is in the world, the more easy it is for the masses to be manipulated. Well, and it's funny because it's fans across the board. Disney called out fans for not liking their shitty product. The NBA has called out fans for not liking their shitty product. And it's happened in another of other circumstances as well. See, that says a lot to me, and I will absolutely check out Steph Castle because I've been a Spurs fan for a long time. I do like Wimby, and yeah, I've never really been impressed with Anthony Edwards. Maybe I could have been more impressed with him if he was smart enough to shut his fucking mouth, because whenever he talks, that's when it gets rough. He needs to learn it's better to remain silent and let others think you're a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Because that's all that he's doing. Anytime he talks, post-game interview, whatever, he just embarrasses himself. Especially when he said that I don't the 90s were trash. The only person that had talent was Jordan. He knew better than to say that Jordan didn't have talent, but to immediately dismiss the 90s, the golden era of basketball, as being talent free is disgusting. So Richard, I'm the same way. That's probably my biggest issue with the modern game. I'm a defense guy. That's why Rodman is my favorite player of all time. It's why the majority of my favorite players are the elite of the elite defenders. So it's almost impossible for me to watch an era where defense has basically been outlawed. And then what they do allow, a large number of the players don't even do. Like, I understand that they have been hamstringed. That is something that has been coming more apparent to my attention, is with the removal of hand checking and the addition of the 3-second rule. Defense has really been hindered. There's not nearly as much defense that you can play. All right, Brendan needs more help. I will absolutely check him out too. I I'm always looking to increase my knowledge of the game. And if you're older than me and were around for all of that actual basketball, uh, I'm all for it. So I will 100% check them out. I think I even mentioned this before in this stream. I thought that hand checking ruined the game. It was 100% the 3-second rule. You know, McZuggins, I've been watching more hockey. Um, it's a game where they at least kind of let you play defense anymore. Part of it is I am very new to hockey. I didn't get to watch hockey in its heyday. I know that they have basically outlawed fighting in its entirety, and it seems to be their new target is hitting, because now every time a player hits another, they get sent to the penalty box. Players aren't wanting to penalize their team by being in the penalty box, so they're just not hitting nearly as much. So when you remove fighting and you remove hitting, I don't want to watch fucking ice skating. I want to watch hockey. I'm not saying people have to be beating the shit out of each other all the time, but it is an incredibly physical game. I want to watch an incredibly physical game. I liked watching Goons. I like the what are they? I think they even made a documentary about it called Ice Guardians, where they were basically just thugs on the ice that were out there to protect their stars. I like that. I just like physical sports, especially physical defense. And I just feel like they are stealing that from all sports, period. I mean, if I'm being 100% honest, I was more of a football fan than a basketball fan. I loved Jordan. I loved the Bulls, but I loved football and had a football addiction for probably 25 years. And then it started to taper off over the last 5. And then I was like, okay, they've just sullied the game that I loved. I used to skate when I was young. I mean, I have seen Many X Games. I actually got to see Bob Bergenquist skate live once, which he was always my favorite skater. And so that was pretty damn cool. I was a big fan of it. I personally did more BMXing when I was young. I will still watch skating occasionally. That seems to be a a sport that continues to progress, and the level in which it progresses is crazy. I mean, I remember when Tony Hawk pulled off the first 900 and now they're doing 1800s or 1200s. I don't know. I can't fucking remember which number. It may be 1200s. But that was like a historic landmark event when he landed that first one, and now it's just a trick that people do. Or like I remember in freestyle motocross when Travis Pastrana landed the first double backflip, and now that's like a beginner trick. I like sports that continue to evolve and to grow, and I just feel like football, baseball, and hockey, not baseball, football, basketball, and hockey are de-evolving. I don't like that. Defense to me is what makes me want to watch. Offense is great, but offense against a stout defense is great. Offense against no defense, I mean, well, then it might as well be a dunk contest or a 3-point contest where there is no opposition. I only competed in BMX for a very short time. I want to say 1987, 1988. I rode in a few races. I basically, my friends and I found an area in the woods behind our elementary school and kind of built a track there. And what's actually crazy is it's still there to this day. So there are apparently people that McZuggins, I used to. I don't really watch anything football related anymore. And I'm sure if there are any modern NFL fans in here, they're going to hate this. I don't think that there are any great quarterbacks anymore. And since they have basically just stymied defense in the NFL as well, I just don't feel like it's a game worth watching. I've always been the guy that found offense impressive when it was against incredibly strong defense. That's what made the offense impressive to me. I just always found defense more impressive, period. But when you had players like Joe Montana or Jordan or Brady or I don't know, any other number of players that were playing against stout defense and still excelled, that's when it's impressive to me. That's what makes me want to watch. It's overcoming the obstacle, not the league subverting the obstacle and then you accomplish it anyway. Like, that's just not the same to me. That doesn't hold the same value. It doesn't earn my respect. But I continue to try and enjoy hockey. I would say hockey is really the only sport that I can sit down and I can still watch a full game. I imagine if I were talking to an old head hockey fan, and I don't use old head as a negative moniker as they try to use now. I personally think it's a moniker that should be worn with respect. I'm sure they would disagree. Like if you watched Gretzky in his prime on the Oilers or even on the Kings and you watch hockey now, you probably think it's an embarrassment. But I didn't. I saw clips. I saw highlights of Gretzky playing. Um, I think I could name maybe 3 hockey players. None of them are modern era players, but like players from the past, and that's because they're like absolutely elite, like Hall of Fame players that even non-hockey fans would know. But I'll still try. And I will say that watching the NHL, because I'm not familiar with what the game used to be, if I were a basketball fan now and I had never watched 80s or 90s or even early 2000s basketball, maybe I could appreciate it because I wouldn't know any better. Like ignorance is bliss. So I'm trying to enjoy the ignorance is bliss in the NHL because I can't in baseball, basketball, and football. I'm all too aware of how drastically different the game is. I hate to cut this short, guys, but I just realized I have been on here for 2 hours and I can tell that my blood sugar's dipping because I feel like I'm dying. So I'm actually going to cut this short, but I have to thank all of you for hanging out and for being so interactive with me during this and for being so supportive of my channel. It has far exceeded my expectations. So, to each and every single one of you, I thank you. And I am going to leave it at that because I will start to cry. And while I'm not embarrassed of my ability to cry over almost anything, uh, I just don't feel like doing it right now. So I am going to cut it off here. And I genuinely appreciate all of you. And I will find a way to keep doing this so we can do it more. But I appreciate it. And I will see you guys in the next one.